What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another Monday edition of the 24th Floor. We got to talk about the heroics of one Ja Morant to beat the Timberwolves and get you ready for a rematch with the Houston Rockets. Tigers hoop squeaks by East Carolina, and the Rebels roll. We'll get into it all when the 24th Floor starts right now. We are back on a Monday. We have survived a week of snow in Memphis. It was Rachel's very first snow day. As an Australian who grew up, obviously in Australia, then you had your first job in Texas. You got your first bit of snow here in Memphis, Tennessee. What did you think? I need the full report on your first day of snow.
Yeah, I didn't just survive.
You thrived.
I thrived.
You
What
thrived.
an epic day. I walked outside and I was like, oh my God, there's so much snow. And then I was snowball fighting and random humans too. Like I'm like, snowball fight? Like, yeah. I was like, great. And then we're just like running around and I'm trying not to fall over. That's something I'm still trying to get my bearings with the snow.
Okay,
when you've never had to do it before, Tyler, but I was making snow angels. I was sliding. I was having a ball.
You look like you were having a ball. I'm looking at your Instagram story and I'm just seeing all kinds of shenanigans. I was like, she is just having the time of her life. And then and you FaceTime, we're FaceTiming, and you're like, this is so fun. This is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. So love that for you.
Kid in the candy store.
I was not a kid in the candy store. I was in my house.
On the blankets.
Under blankets,
watching
movies.
Hey, that's a good day too. There's two ways to do a snow day. Both those ways are good ways.
There's not a wrong way to do it. I threw one snowball.
Where'd you throw it at? Like a car or a tree? Or?
A person after church. Okay. Yeah, so that
seems
was
really counter opposite of church.
No, it was loving. It was a snowball of love.
It was a caring snowball.
Caring snowball.
Heard of those plenty of times.
Yeah, well, you know where it snows a lot?
Where?
Minnesota.
Ah, yes.
And that's where the Grizzlies were this weekend. Let's jump into the big idea for the day. Memphis taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Not the best night for Ja Morant, but he delivers when it counts the most. He's going to hit that bucket to tie the game. And then check this out. The loop-de-loop and pull, floater, dagger to take the lead. Anthony Edwards will try to answer back on the other end, but his shot is going to be absolutely no good thanks to the defense from Brandon Clark. Grizzlies get the win 127-125. Morant on the final bucket of the game.
We was running, one of our out-of-bounds sets. Dez gave me a head nod to just hit BC and go back and get the ball, and I made a shot I usually make, a floater.
I hit a shot that I usually make, a floater. Just very nonchalant, very chill about it. And you go back and watch the play, and you're like, how did he do that? Because not only did he have to get the shot up over Anthony Edwards, who's guarding him tight, kind of hugging his hip there, he also had to get it over multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert, and you're seeing it, and you're just like, wow, that's another one of those wild moments that we've gotten so many times from Ja Morant over the number of years.
I'll be honest. I was watching that on the TV out here in the newsroom, waiting to come on for the 10 p.m. show on Saturday, and I watched him go for that. I was like, "What are you doing?" And then it goes, I'm like, "You're a genius!" Like it's like the highs and lows of Ja Morant. Because I feel like against the Rockets on Thursday, he was kind of pushing it a bit too much, and in those final moments where you needed him to make the shot, he was kind of going for a bit much, and it wasn't working out. And then you see, I was watching him do it. Then I felt like against the Timberwolves, and he closes it out and he does it, and you're like, oh, well, it's Ja Morant. I mean, just call 12. That's the way it all goes. I mean, they called, he answered, and absolutely smashed it out of the park for them.
Yeah,
Massive.
you saw Luke Kennard when they call the timeout, and you see Luke Kennard is holding his hands like this, and that notion, that symbol we've all known to be called 12. And and you're absolutely right, he answered. I think it was really interesting to see him progress through this game, because obviously he did not have his best game, and I think we've seen over the last couple of games, I mean, he did have 27 against the Rockets. He shot 9 of 22, right? This game, he's 3 for 17 before those last two shots to take the lead. But what we did see from Ja is that it doesn't really matter. When it really comes down to crunch time, you still need that guy, and he is that guy. He always can be that guy. And he's not going to hit it every time, right? But we've got enough evidence to suggest that we've got a better chance than not when he's in moments like that. I think it's been incredible. That was just that floater is not the most acrobatic, maybe like the 360 layups we've seen from him a couple of times this year, but that one will go up there, especially when you're talking about two guys who think you could be face of the league type of guys, and himself and Anthony Edwards. Just an incredible moment there. And I think the Grizzlies really, really needed that win, especially after the way that Rockets game went on the previous Thursday. They needed that one to go their way, and I'm glad it did.
Yeah, well, it was their first road win against a Western Conference team above 500 this season. Prior to that game, they were 0 for 8. So when you talk about needing that win, yeah, I think they needed that win. They needed that boost of confidence because, yeah, you saw them fall against the Clippers not that long ago in a close one. Then you saw them fall against the Rockets on Thursday. And then they go to Minnesota, another tight game, coming down to the wire. And you're thinking, here we go again. Are they going to be able to figure out how to get to that next step and close it out, which is what they're going to need to do when it comes playoff time in those clutch moments, especially on the road. They're going to need to steal some wins. And so to see them pull it out there, I thought was really impressive. I think it wouldn't have been possible without the defense of Jalen Wells. I think he was massive for them on Saturday, and we've seen him be massive all season long. But against Ant Edwards, he was just phenomenal. Held Ant to 15 points, 4 of 13 from the field, and 0 of 5 from three-point range. He was just completely dominant. If you can pull up this video here, you'll be able to see kind of how Jalen was guarding Ant Wells, if we can grab this video right here. So he just had a phenomenal performance. Ant Edwards averages 25 points a game. So he averaged 10 less in this game. You see him really close defense on him, forcing him to kick the ball out because he just can't get a shot up. And then that shot doesn't go in. But you'll see in this next video here just how tight he is on his face. He's coming up in the top right corner there.
Not even let him touch the ball.
No, he's like, you're not even going to get a look at this ball. He just didn't give him any room whatsoever to play with. And we've seen Jalen Wells just do this all season long. You got to remember, he's a rookie. But when you watch him, he just doesn't look like a rookie at all. He's been phenomenal. Some of the other performances we've seen defensively from him against Steph, 2 points. Did not get one shot that went in when Jalen Wells was guarding him. He averages 23 points a game. Against Damian Lillard, 4 points. Kyrie Irving, 10 points. All these guys averaging in the 20 points. And the coolest thing to me about that entire stat is none of them made a three-pointer against Jalen Wells. Guarding him so tight, it's been such an impressive impact he's had on the game. I don't think any of us saw this coming. We say it all the time with Jalen, and he's always been that underrated guy through his entire career, whether it be in high school, whether it be in college, and now in the NBA. But what a steal the Grizzlies have found in him. He has just been phenomenal, both defensively and really having an impact offensively. For him to be in the starting five consistently for the Grizzlies as well, and that's partially because of his defense, but also because of his offense. He's holding his own in both ways, at both ends of the court, and he's having a massive impact. But I think defensively, he's just been so impressive this year.
Right, so he is the leading rookie scorer in the NBA right now at 11.8 points a game. I think him and Alexander Sarr are both at 11 points a game. So he's leading all rookies in scoring. He is playing incredible defense. I looked up the same stats you were. I'm looking at all these not even all-stars, superstar level guards that he's had to guard this year. Steph, Dame, Kyrie, Ant, Book, even Tatum. I think the bigger forwards and guards have maybe give him a little bit of trouble, but he is taking on that assignment. He's taking it on with vigor pretty much every game. I don't know that you can face guard every guard like that, the way he did with Ant Edwards, because other teams are going to have people who can, make you pay when you're holding one guy. You're essentially playing 4-on-4 at that point. But what Jalen has been able to do, I think, has just been so impressive because he is. We talked about the Grizzlies for a number of years, really needing that big 3-and-D kind of guy who can provide you some offense, but also play incredible defense on the other end, because he is utilizing so much energy and effort on that end on other teams' best players. Ja doesn't have to do that. Desmond Bane doesn't have to do that. Jaren is a different story because he's obviously more in the paint. What Jalen has been able to do, I think, has really been impressive, because you would expect that level of performance, I think, from guys who are second year in the league, third year in the league, fourth year in the league, that kind of thing. But we're going to be talking about him in the same vein that I think we talk about a lot of some of these guys. And Herb Jones for the Pelicans, who's a great 3-and-D player. Dyson Daniels has kind of emerged in that same vein of a great defensive player, especially more with steals maybe than just straight up on-ball defense, but really, really good. If he's getting up into those echelons, I don't see why he's not going to be. He'll be all rookie team. It'll be interesting to see if he ends up all rookie of the year, rather, as opposed to just on the all rookie teams. I think he's been incredible this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so cool because you coming into this year, there's so many other guys that you kind of have in your mind as to who would be rookie of the year. And I'll be honest, Jalen Wells was not on my list.
He's the 39th pick.
Yeah, okay, good. So not on your list.
Nobody was thinking he was going to be any sniffing the top 5 of the rookie ladder and anything else. Actually, let's pull up the rookie ladder. Let's go look at it. Give me the rookie ladder real quick. So this is the NBA Kia rookie ladder. Alexander Sarr is currently 1. Yves Masai for the Pelicans is 2. Jalen Wells there at 3. Zach Edey is 4. And Stephon Castle is 5. I think it's been incredible for the Grizzlies this year, just the level of play that they've had from their rookies this year. You got 2 in the starting lineup, and you're talking about this team being third in the West right now, really only a game behind the Houston Rockets, who are second, and the Thunder are doing what the Thunder are doing. But to have 2 rookies in your starting lineup has just been so impressive. I think says a lot about what Zach Kleiman and that front office has been able to do, and Taylor Jenkins as well, in bringing these guys along and bringing them along really, really quickly. I think the conversation has to be had about Jalen in the Rookie of the Year category, and I think Zach Edey is still up there in that 1, 2, 3 category as well, because they are winning. It's not just that they're playing well, it's that they're playing well on a team that is going to be top 5 in the West in terms of playoffs if things hold as they are right now. For him to hold Anthony Edwards, who is just a dynamic scorer, to 15 points on 4 of 13 and no threes. And to that point, Jalen Wells is holding. People are shooting 30% from 3 when Wells is guarding them this year. Anthony Edwards, to your point, had not made a 3 in a game in 2 months.
Yeah, wow.
So what Jalen's been able to do has really been impressive. He's got to be able to do it every night, and he's been doing it every night. So kudos to him for the way he's been doing it. We got to talk about a couple of things. One more thing, we got to talk about the Houston Rockets because they play them again tonight. Ja Morant, we talked about his heroics over the weekend. He is now questionable going into this game. The Grizzlies do get that rematch with the Rockets. 2 squads that played just a few days ago, with the Rockets stealing that 119-115 win in Memphis. Alperen Sengun taking everybody's lunch, 32 points, 14 rebounds with a double-double. Ja Morant had 27 points in this one, didn't shoot his best, and the Grizz had a chance to tie it late, but Taylor Jenkins called a timeout just as Bane was getting up this 3-pointer, and the Rockets would sneak away, and they're 2-0 on the season against the Grizzlies this year. Rachel, when you look at this rematch, what are you hoping happens for these for the Grizzlies?
There's one thing, and it's pretty simple. Stop turning the ball over as much as what they're doing. They had less turnovers against Minnesota, and that helped. I think they had 6 less turnovers and got 10 more points off of turnovers compared to the Wolves, and that helped catapult them into that win. Against Houston on Thursday, 31 points came off 20 Memphis turnovers for the Rockets. You're just handing another team points, and we saw it really be the issue for Memphis. And when we asked Taylor Jenkins about it post-game, he said, "We got to work." I asked, what does that work mean?
He didn't say a lot.
Yeah, he said,
He
look at film and practice. And we saw, I guess, that kind of come into fruition against the Timberwolves on Saturday. But talking to some of the players, we kind of talked about how do you balance that fast-paced offense and wanting to push the ball and move it and those turnovers. And Luke Kennard and Santi Aldama were saying that's a balance we're still trying to figure out because we don't want to take off the pace, but we want to also not be turning over as much and handing other teams points. And so for me, I think that was the biggest issue against the Rockets. There's no question about that. So it's how do you go into that team and obviously stop that. Obviously, the other thing they have to do is stop some of the Rockets' scorers. They were just putting up massive numbers, and that's a big ask. My question to you is, they couldn't win against the Rockets with Ja Morant.
Yeah.
He's questionable right now. According to DeMichael Cole, he wasn't at practice this morning at shoot-around. Can they win against the Rockets without Ja Morant?
I think they can win against the Rockets without Ja Morant. My thing really is going to be you have to match the physicality that the Rockets brought to that game. And I think when we talked to some of the players afterwards, they were kind of like, yeah, we kind of didn't really meet the moment in the way that the Rockets were playing. As Alperen Sengun gives you 32 and 14 rebounds, you can't allow that to happen. And it's not even that he had 32 and 14. It was that they still had Jalen Green, who had 27 points, and then you had one more 20-point scorer. And so you got to stop somebody. If it's going to be him, if it's going to be Alperen Sengun, it can't be Jalen Green as well. You got to find the disparity there. The Rockets also, to me, and that they won by 4 points, it really could have been much worse because they had 17 missed free throws. And so in the last 2 games they've played the Rockets, 39 turnovers, 60 points off turnovers in 2 games, and you allow a team that gives you 17 missed free throws. That game really shouldn't have been as close as it was. and the Grizzlies had a chance to take advantage there towards the end and just really weren't able to. In the dichotomy of that, when you played the Timberwolves on Saturday, you had 21 offensive rebounds. So you're talking about 21 offensive rebounds. E had 7, Jaren had 4. Luke Kennard actually gave you 3, which I thought was really funny as well. But it led to a disparity in field goals, possessions of 108 to 83. They had 108 field goals and were able to win that game. So I think you have to bring the physicality that you had against the Timberwolves. You have to bring it in against the Rockets as well. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how much Zach Edey plays in this game, because he played a lot against Rudy Gobert. He seemed to match up really well against Rudy Gobert. And in that Rockets game, we just didn't see him as much. So that's kind of where I think the game is going to be won or lost. It's always kind of in the trenches, right? And the points in the paint and things like that. I think the Grizzlies have a chance to do it. It might come down to some more heroics, and it may not be from Ja tonight, because it's looking like he's trending towards maybe not playing.
One thing I do know is that the Grizzlies are going to want this win. We were in that locker room post-game. It was not a happy place to be for a lot of those players. They wanted that win. They knew it was so close, and it was just out of reach for them. I can see them going into Houston and just being like, you know what? You beat us on our home court. We're going to beat you on your home court and show you how it feels, and it's not nice, and we want to make that presence known, and also because of where the standings are in the West, and those two being 2 and 3 right now. Memphis wanted to get back above Houston right now.
Yeah, so and they'll get one more chance to see Steven Adams, who had a chance to come back to Memphis for the first time in the game in Memphis on Thursday. The first time he'd played since he had gotten traded. The first time he'd played since he had gotten hurt in January of 2023, I believe. And so that was a really cool moment. I got a chance to talk to Steve-O after the game just about what the reception he got from the crowd, where it was a standing ovation.
It was lovely, bro. It was cool. Obviously, the fans here, they welcomed me so well, especially because I have a lot of history here, and it was cool. They accepted me even after like some history and what we managed to build from my stint here. I thought it was really cool, bro. I think they felt it too. And what we did here, bro, was awesome. You know, all I have is just fond memories of this place. Fans, and players, organizations.
He felt back at home, and I felt back at home just listening to his voice. Obviously, different countries, but it's nice to hear.
I regret that you never got a chance to like really mess with Steve-O, because I think y'all's conversations would be
the
hilarious.
banter would have been.
The banter would have been there for sure. I thought this was an incredible moment. Steve-O actually got a standing ovation, very loud cheer when he checked into the game, and it was nice to hear him say, you know, I have nothing but fond memories of the players here, of the fans here, the organization, all of that, because the way it ended did feel kind of salty. It didn't feel like there was, it feels like there was some love lost there when Steve-O got asked for the trade and ended up in Houston. And then I remember we were all thinking, like, he ends up in Houston where Dylan Brooks went? Like, how many times are we going to give our players to a Southwest Division rival? But it was really cool to see Steve-O back in the building and see people kind of love on him the right way. The players, the Grizzlies, all kind of gave him a hug and dapped him up after the game. It was funny listening to him because they asked him about some of the banter that he had with Santi Aldama in particular. He was like, man, Santi's over there talking so much crap, and he hit a 3 in my face, and I was so pissed about it. But he enjoyed seeing Santi and saying it was kind of like seeing a little brother grow up. And Santi kind of reciprocated that same kind of energy. So fun for the Grizzlies to kind of see Steve-O again, and they'll see him tonight and probably one more time before the season ends.
Yeah, they will. It was awesome just to see also Santi, like, not only just say it was cool, like, having that relationship with him and seeing him again, but also giving credit to him for the player that he is now. He said he wouldn't be the same if it weren't for someone like Steven Adams helping guide him in those early years and really giving him that physical presence, which I thought was just awesome to see. Awesome to see guys give back to the players that they've been around. At the end of the day, they're all friends, not the ones making the decision as to who is getting traded and not traded. So really cool. Grizzlies back in action tonight against the Houston Rockets. Looking for revenge, might be without Ja Morant, but we'll have to see how it goes. Well, the now number 18 ranked Memphis Tigers also in action over the weekend. And you can look at this game two ways. Good, they edged out a win, or bad, because they should have never let it get this close in the first place. Memphis get the scoring going thanks to a clinical big man dunk from Musa Cisse, but the shooting accuracy goes downhill real quick from both teams. ECU not getting their first bucket until nearly 6 minutes in, but then the Pirates start treating the ball like it's treasure and cut what was once a 9-point lead for Memphis to just 2. The Tigers, though, pouncing back, going on a shooting flurry, 16 straight points, including the alley-oop that you're going to see right here from Colby Rogers to Nick Jourdain to go up by 18. Yeah, that's just pretty to watch. Then the nifty pass from the returning and injured Dante Harris to Cisse gives the Tigers a 38-24 lead at the half. Memphis looking red hot. The Pirates as cold as outside, shooting just 26% from the field in the first half. But they must have grabbed some hand warmers because then everything starts falling. The Pirates knocking down 9 of their first 10 shots and grabbing 17 second half points off of 10 Memphis turnovers to erase the 18-point deficit and tie it up at 68 with just over a minute to go. But PJ Haggerty with a game high 27 points and Tyrese Hunter with 14 use their experience like they have so many times this year to ice this one out 74-70.
These guys, instead of stepping on the pedal, they're just thinking, oh, it's just another game. It's not, because they're going to keep coming. And we have to do the same thing. So it was kind of disheartening to watch the effort in the first 5 minutes in the entire of the second half and the entire second half. Happy that we got out of here with a victory. Every game is not going to be a blowout. I wish it would have kept going the way that it was going. But to win this game is all you have to do.
Avery, are you with Penny here in the sense that you're happy that they got out with a victory, or are you saying it should have been a much bigger victory?
Yes, and both ands. Yeah, I mean, you win the game, and that's essentially all that matters, is that you got out of there with a win. And I think that's always going to be the most important thing. Penny's not going to sneeze at it. Nobody in Memphis is going to sneeze at a win. The reality is you are trying to improve your seeding when it comes to the NCAA tournament. You did enough in the non-conference schedule, going 10-3 in the stretch that they went on, really impressive wins, that you put yourself in a position where you cannot be in that 7, 8, 9 kind of seed line where you end up playing the number 1 seed on whatever side of the bracket you end up on. You want to be in that 4 or 5 region, right? And so in order to do that, in order to improve those computer numbers, they have to beat teams by 30 points. And ECU is a team where you got up by, I think their biggest lead was 18 in the first half. You got to hold that and at least win the game by 20. You know what I'm saying? I think that's really going to be a point of emphasis for Penny Hardaway moving forward. These guys have to stay motivated and stay ready to play throughout the entirety of a game. And I think we've probably only seen them play a full 40 minutes. Maybe Ole Miss, the UConn game, when you go into overtime and things like that. But even then, you also allowed leads to slip away in some of those other matchups where you did get big wins. So, yeah, they're not going to be upset at, beating a team at 74-70 over ECU. But Eastern Carolina is not a good team. And there's no reason that game should have ever been close again.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the FAU game in non-conference, the only non-conference game where they it felt like they maybe played the full 40, but even then, maybe not quite. And that's the concern for me as you look at the rest of this season. And I know everyone's kind of getting flashbacks to last year, and Nick Jourdain, the only returning scholarship player from last year, said, no, this game is an outlier.
It ain't look like an outlier to me,
well,
but you know what I'm saying?
I hear that, and I think, well, Arkansas State, what was that? Mississippi State, what was that? And Mississippi State's a good team, so that one's a little bit,
top 15 team.
We'll give them that, but also they looked half asleep the entire game. They looked lethargic. I'm looking at that game, I'm like, I don't know if it's an outlier. But then you also hear Penny say, the only guy on this entire team that knows what to be with a winning team looks like is Tyrese Hunter. Right. And that does make sense, because every other guy's out there like, oh, cool, we're up. I haven't really done this that much with my teams. Sweet, we'll just,
coast. You try to coast.
Try to coast. And I can see it for a reason or two. If you're PJ Haggerty, and I'm not saying he particularly was coasting, he obviously had another incredible game, but someone like him, you're like, man, I'm tired. I'm playing plus 30 minutes every single game. All right, I might just go a little slower on this possession, or I might, give the ball to someone else and let them have a go with it. And then we're seeing turnovers once again creep up. I think it was 16 turnovers. Just way too many, and it's a fine line, right? It's pretty similar with the Grizzlies. You don't want them to be scared in passing the ball and not going for those passes, but at the same time, it's like, okay, this is too many turnovers because once again, you're giving the other team points. They had so many points, 24 points off of those turnovers. 6-0 run to start the second half. That's what got ECU back in the game, was 6 straight points off of Memphis turnovers.
Fast break. It wasn't even just you turn the ball over and maybe it's out of bounds. It's you turn the ball over, and now you got Jordan Riley and R.J. Felton, these really talented guards out in space, and they're scoring in transition. And then they're able to set up their defense again, and you're dealing with that press that I wouldn't even say the press was really giving Memphis issues so much, but it was like something changed in that second half for a while. It did feel like the South Florida game last year. I mean, it was almost the exact same conditions. It snowed. Memphis got up really big early. And then you just kind of watching it chip away, slip away, and you're like, I feel like I'm getting deja vu. But they pull the win out. And so at the end of the day, that's all you're going to care about.
And that's the difference.
When you go back and look at it, nobody's going to remember necessarily that they were up 18, 20 points. They're going to see that they won the game. What we talk about so much in this AAC play, though, this conference play, is you're avoiding landmines constantly. Every game in the AAC is a landmine. Every team that you play is going to treat it like a T-shirt game, like it's their quote-unquote Super Bowl. And I don't like saying that, but it's the truth. You're going to be everybody's best game. So you have to treat, when you get a team down by 15-plus points, to Penny's point, you got to put the pedal to the metal, step on their neck, and don't let them get up. And unfortunately, you let some of these guys get off the mat. It's only a matter of time when you have a game like this with an inferior opponent where they're gonna do just enough hanging around to eventually win the game. And we kind of saw that with the Arkansas State game. Arkansas State played well from start to finish in that one, but I don't know, man. You got Temple on Thursday. You can't have a similar performance and expect to win every one of those games.
Well, yeah, and Temple is their last quad 2 game of the season as everything stands right now. So you talk about those milestones and those numbers and analytics and getting those big markers. That's a big one for Memphis. That's one you hope they rise for because this is a chance to bolster their resume as you head towards the NCAA. But, I mean, Temple, 10-6 right now, 5th in the AAC. East Carolina beat them by just 1 point. So if you go off that, you're like, okay, well, Memphis should
comparable
definitely...
team.
Yeah, Memphis, those should beat them because they beat East Carolina and didn't play well. So if you're looking at it like that, you're like, okay, well, this should be another win for sure for Memphis, which we're expecting with every single one of these AAC games. But it's not that simple. They have a good team. They're 51st in the country for pace and top 100 in scoring. It's not like it's just going to be another rollover game. And like we mentioned, they're going to live for this game because for them, it's a big win. It's probably more of a quad 1 win than it is a quad 2 win. Yeah, so for them, it's big. Jamal Mashburn, obviously coming from New Mexico, he's their leading scorer, 20.7 points, 32 threes, 31 assists this season. He's really been the dominant guy for them this year, and that's someone Memphis are going to try and have to stop. Lynn Greer was coming in. He was expected to be a big ball player. He just got suspended indefinitely now. He missed the first 9 games of the season with a different suspension.
Right.
Came back, played a couple games, didn't do a ton, but was expected to be a guy that they were really leaning on, so they've now had to kind of go to some other guys. They've got a little bit less depth than you would say for Memphis, but Marshman will obviously be a big test for them in regards. He's like almost the PJ Haggerty equivalent of Temple. But yeah, not having Greer is big for them, but I think it'll be a really interesting game Thursday. And I mean, Memphis on the road again, and it's a tough one.
Yeah, well, despite the close win that they did have with ECU, they went from 19 in the AP Top 25 to 18. So you move up a spot, I know you're harping on a lot of stuff. It's not all doom and gloom.
No,
they are still undefeated in conference play. So, stuff to look forward to. So still a lot more to come. But let's get into our next side of the segment. Coming up, Rebels are rolling to a 3-0 start themselves in SEC play. Hear how Memphis native Matt Morrell and Ole Miss are making waves in conference.
The weather affects us every day, but some days are more impactful than others. In Memphis, we get it all. From heat waves, severe storms, snow, and ice. As a meteorologist, it's my job to keep you safe on those impactful days. Don't get caught off guard and know what to expect with ABC 24 Weather Impact Days.
The 24 Plus app. Watch us live and continue with us on 24 Plus. And get extended coverage of weather and breaking news. the 24 Plus app. ABC 24 is making your voice heard.
This city is filthy, it's crime infested, and somebody need to do something about it.
Listening to your concerns.
We could have such a great city if we really just put the time and energy into it and come up with solutions.
And getting results for you.
We appreciate 24 for coming out.
Getting the issues taken care of.
When you put it on ABC 24, somebody gonna listen.
ABC 24, seeking solutions for you.
I just love working on this morning show.
We really are like one big family. Myself, Yvonne, Ruben.
You're probably gonna like what you see and what you hear, and you're gonna leave being informed and having a little bit of fun at the same time.
ABC 24 News this morning.
The news never stops, so we're taking you beyond the broadcast with ABC 24 Plus.
Continuing coverage of the issues that matter to you.
We need to get something done.
More interviews and stories that dig deeper.
The Lord has a plan, is all I know.
We'll take you beyond the scores and highlights for local sports coverage you can't find anywhere else.
Plus, on-demand forecasts to keep you weather aware.
ABC 24 News right now on ABC 24 Plus.
Welcome back. Time to talk a little bit more hoops, and all this time is about the Rebels. The now 21-ranked Ole Miss Rebels off to a 3-0 start in SEC play for the first time since 2018-2019 after a dub over LSU on Saturday. The Rebs entered the game ranked second in the country in turnovers per game, which is 9, but they had 9 in the first half alone, which allowed the Tigers to go on a 15-0 run and take a 15-7 lead. But the Rebs starting to settle in here with Memphis native Matt Morrell hitting back-to-back corner threes to tie it up, and then Jermaine Brakefield with a double fake. Where are you going? Before driving to the bucket for the game-leading layup, 28-26 at the half. After a 21-point performance on Wednesday, Malik Dia once again finding his stride, leading the Rebels with 19 points and adding 7 boards as Ole Miss goes on a 22-8 run to start the second half en route to cruising to a 77-65 win with 5 guys scoring in double digits.
It's Ole Miss basketball. It's by design. I don't think you can win 6 games in 3 weekends with one dominant leading scorer. You got to have scoring in different ways. If we can play good defense, take care of the ball, and have multiple guys in double-figure scoring, then we've proven that we can be more than competitive.
So another one of those games where we've seen Malik Dia have a fantastic game. What I liked hearing from Coach Beard there is it seems like they do have a different leading scorer every night, right? And so when you have that, it makes it really hard for any particular defense to key in on one guy. Like, we got to stop Matt Morrell, or we got to stop Malik Dia. Like, anybody can kind of come to play. We've seen Sean Badua lead a couple of games this year. Impressive win. And to the point we're talking about with the Tigers, LSU has not been playing well. They were 0-2 coming into SEC play before this weekend, and you stomped them at home like you're supposed to.
Yeah, we highlighted on Thursday, kind of before the game, the importance of rebounding going into this one. LSU ranked 37th in the country, Ole Miss 249th. The Tigers just out-rebounding the Rebels by just 1. So that's pretty, to neutralize the boards there in that game was super impressive to me. The other impressive thing, not only in that game, but these last 3 games to start SEC play, is they've limited every single team to below their shooting average percentage, which is hard to do. But obviously Ole Miss have a great defense. They put it on display yet again, and that's helped them get these 3 wins. Let's be honest, they should have got those 3 wins, right? This SEC schedule that they've played so far are of the weaker teams in the SEC. Now it's about to get really tough. You're going to go play number 4 Bama on the road on Tuesday, tomorrow night, and then you've got number 15 Mississippi State, obviously Ole Miss's rivals there on Saturday. So now it gets really tough for the Rebels, and this is the first real test if I'm Ole Miss and Chris Beard in SEC play, where you talk about the gauntlet and the 18-round matchup that you've got, and you're 3-0 in the round so far. Well, let's see what you can do in these next couple of rounds, because they're tough. I mean, Bama, first in points scored per game, first in pace, and third in rebounds. They have 10 more rebounds on average compared to Ole Miss. So you talk about how impressive Ole Miss have been in neutralizing the boards these first 3 games. That goes up another level come Tuesday night. Big news for Ole Miss is that they potentially have Makeel Brown-Jones back. He's been in concussion protocol, missed the last couple of games, and he's someone that Chris Beard says is one of their most physical guys. And so to have him back, especially when you're going against a team that out-rebounds you by 10 per game, that's going to be massive in helping them out. But I think it's going to be a really tough test for Ole Miss. I think some ways they do neutralize Alabama in the sense that, they're pretty much ranked top 10 in steals and turnovers, which means they're not going to be giving Ole Miss any easy and extra possessions. They're also going to be taking some away from them. So both of those categories help them, but it's a really, really tough game for them. I think their defense is going to have to be on right now. It's ranked top 25 in defensive rating across the country, and we're going to need to see that be on full display to kind of neutralize Bama and some of their depth. They have, on average, 5 guys scoring in double digits every game, pretty similar to Ole Miss in that regard in the offense. There's not really one guy that you're like, oh, he's so good. That's the guy we need to really key and target in on. They've got a lot of different power and a lot of different guys, and it's going to be a really tough game.
Yeah, I think what Nate Oates has done with that Alabama program over the last couple of years has really been incredible. I think to your point about the rebounding and having really to improve that, it seemed like they did that, but they also still allowed 17 second chance points to LSU. And we were talking about a big athletic Alabama team. They're going to want to crash those boards. And so you're going to have your Malik Diaz and your Jamin Brakefields, really come to play. Probably get a little bit from John Bull as well in terms of giving some guys a blow. But yeah, you need Brown back because the way Alabama tends to play, the way they rebound the ball, the way they attack the glass, you have to be able to defend that yard. What we really liked from Ole Miss in this particular game was they really ratcheted up that defense, especially in the second half. 23 points off of turnovers. You're going to have to be able to do that and get out in transition, allow a guy like Sean Padula, like Matt Morrell, to get some easy points in transition in the fast break so that you are not trying to score on this Alabama half-court defense as much. I think what we saw from Chris Beard, he's really got these guys coming to play. They're a very business-like mindset on these first couple of games in the SEC. No playing around. And I think that's been important. To your point, you're playing some of the weaker teams in the SEC. It's weird to think we didn't think Arkansas was going to be one of the weaker teams in the SEC to start the year. They haven't started off conference play well, Coach Calipari, but you've taken care of business so far. You go into a hostile environment. What we've seen is that Oxford has been a really tough place to play for a lot of teams this year so far. You're going into Tuscaloosa, and it's going to be difficult. They're a really, really good team at home, but I think Ole Miss has proven so far that they can be up to the task. And I agree, this will be their first real test in SEC play. Alabama's nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, first real test and a chance to make just a massive, massive statement in the league that, hey,
they're here to play.
Yeah, we're here to play. Speaking of being here to play, Ole Miss women's also in action yesterday. The women hosting number 19 Alabama and getting out to a hot start. They go on a 7-0 run and force Bama to take an early timeout after the fast break layup from Star Jacobs. The Rebs going up by as many as 9 in the first quarter thanks to 2 threes from Kennedy Todd Williams. And Madison Scott, with this bucket right here, becomes just the 8th Rebel in program history to surpass 1,500 career points with Ole Miss. But then the tide started to turn the tide. Pardon the pun, yeah. Thanks to a flurry of threes from Zay Green and Aaliyah Nye, the Rebs found themselves down by as many as 12 in the second half. Ole Miss managed to get back within 2 scores in the fourth quarter, thanks to a career-high 21 points and 12 rebounds from Star Jacobs. But every time the Rebs picked up momentum, Nye and Green diffused it with a long-range bucket. The Bama duo combined for 59 points and 11 of the Tide's 12 three-pointers to hand Ole Miss their second loss in the SEC, 84-78.
It's no way we let 2 people just do that. 2 people do that. That is a pride thing. That is a wanting to get a stop thing. They wanted to bounce back, and we had an opportunity to get a ranked win, so we should have wanted to do something, and their kids did it and we didn't. And, I'm embarrassed to say that because that is not what my program has been built on. But here we are, so we have to just continue to work on it.
Yeah, Alabama was just coming off a really embarrassing and big loss on Thursday, and so you could tell they came out with a fire in their belly. But like Coach Yo just mentioned, Ole Miss should have also had that same fire. Like, we have a chance to make a statement right here in front of a great crowd. I was so impressed. Yeah, a massive crowd there in Oxford on Sunday afternoon, and get a ranked win at home and kind of boost your standings in the SEC, but instead a second loss. And I can understand why she said she was embarrassed. I mean, to allow 2 players to score 11 threes on you, they just had no answers on defense. And Coach Yo was saying, well, they just didn't come to play. They didn't have that fight. And she was like, I can't instill fight in them. They have to go out in that court and want to fight themselves. Yeah. And I mean, they just really weren't doing it. They've played Ole Miss, the number 1, 3, and 5 teams in the country, and never given up that many points in the third and fourth quarter. Allowed 53 points, 84 total. That's 11 more points than what they allowed against UConn, which was their, up until that point, the most points they'd allowed in a loss or in a game in general this season. So, and you're talking about a UConn team that is very, very good and knows how to score. So the defense from Ole Miss just wasn't on. You saw that first run, they get up to a 9-point lead. You're like, oh, okay, the Rebels are here. They came to play. And then all of a sudden, things just start to switch, and Ole Miss just couldn't get in, and those 3-pointers, I mean, I was sitting there watching, I had fans behind me, and the crowd just being like, again? Man, she can shoot. And I'm thinking the same thing. Wow, these girls can shoot. Like, those 3-pointers were just phenomenal. They're doing it with hands in their faces from well deep and just nailing it. Every time they got the ball, it's like, here we go again. Like, you just couldn't even think that they weren't going to make it, because they were on fire. And I mean, part of that, I understand where Coach Yo is coming from, is I need to see more fight in my defense, but part of that is also just, man, those 2 girls were really on fire yesterday.
So sometimes when you're hot, you're hot.
Yeah.
Right? These are incredible athletes. They're D1 athletes. Some of them are going to go play pro, play overseas, whatever it is. Sometimes you walk into a game and you're hot, you're hot. Other times it's like, yo, well, where the defense at? You know what I'm saying? What we doing here?
I think it was a bit of both.
Coach, I mean, listening to Coach Yo in that presser, that's about as heated as I've really ever heard her in a press conference setting. I've certainly seen her fired up on sidelines throughout the year and that kind of thing, but for her, she could tell she was so angry. Aaliyah Nyes, 32 points, 7 of 11 from 3. Zay Green, 27 points, 4 of 5 for 3. They shoot 12 of 19, 60-ish% from the 3-point line. You're not going to win games that way. Really, you're never going to win games that way when you allow a team to shoot that well. The Alabama Crimson Tide, the highest number of threes they had hit this year was 14. So you almost gave them a new season high in this particular matchup. It's certainly disappointing. You allowed them to shoot 56% from the floor. You're not going to win games that way. On the offensive side for Ole Miss, Star Jacobs was great. She had a double-double, 21 points, 12 rebounds. I love the way she was getting to the free throw line. She was aggressive and just kind of felt like, who's coming with me? Who's coming with me? And she never really got an answer. And so you drop one at home. Really disappointing. You want to have those ranked wins. You're talking about, your Bart Torvik and your Ken Palm rankings, and that doesn't play as big a role on the women's side of college basketball, but still important. And you want all these conference wins whenever you can get one. And for them to come out essentially flat on the defensive side of the ball, just disappointing. And you got to go back to the drawing board and try it again this week.
Yeah, you talk about those threes coming into the game. Ole Miss, they had the number 1 fewest points allowed in the entire nation. And then for 3 points, they were allowing an average of 3.1 per game. Then they go and give 12 away. And like we said, look, the Alabama players, they were hot. They were on fire. Those threes were going in whether you liked it or not. But at the same time, from 3 to 12.
You got to make it difficult.
That's a big jump.
Make it difficult somewhere. I don't know.
It was crazy.
Foul them. I don't know. Well, don't foul them on the 3-point line. But you know what I'm saying. Like, you gotta rough them up a little bit.
And to your point about the points and Star Jacobs doing so well, getting 21 points, you kind of felt like Kennedy Todd Williams was going to go with her. She had those first threes in those first quarter, 2 threes, gets 6 points like that, and then is laying it up and then doing whatever else. But she just kind of dropped off. I mean, she still ended in double digits. Yeah, not a bad performance. But Ole Miss actually, I didn't really notice it in the fourth quarter because I was so concentrated on the fact that I was like,
they scored 32 points in the fourth.
They scored. That's exactly what I was about to say. They scored 32 points. That's still that's a lot of points. For those 2 teams to put up that many points, just not used to seeing it. And I mean, Coach Yo said, this isn't what this team is built on. Like, I'm not going to let any team put up that many points. We shouldn't have to put up 32 points in the fourth quarter to win.
Coach Yo said, if we had played any lick of defense, y'all would be talking about how good our offense is when we scored 32 in the fourth quarter. But you can't talk about it because the defense was really kind of abysmal to the point. I mean, you had in the read there that Madison Scott goes over 1,500 points, and you asked Coach Yo in the press conference about it. And Coach Yo was like, I mean, it's cool, but we lost. We can't even celebrate it today. So, you know, she was obviously, she knows how good of a player Madison Scott has been to the program for a number of years now. But for her to be like, we can't even celebrate it because we played so poorly that it's almost like you can't even feel good about, you know, hitting a milestone like that. So they'll be okay.
Yeah.
You know, they're a good team. Coach Yo has really, they've really improved year over year since she's been there. And I think they're going to be fine. They're going to learn from this one. Again, this is a ranked team. Right, in Alabama. So it's not like you were playing, you know, bums. Playing a good team.
Not at all.
And sometimes when you play a good team, you know, they play well and you don't. And that's kind of lay of the land there.
Yeah, and I mean, we spoke to some of the players after. Star Jacobs kind of said the exact same thing. Like, this is a learning opportunity for us. It's the only way we can look at it. We're disappointed, but we need to use this as motivation. And I kind of expect them to come out the way that Alabama came out. Ole Miss have Florida on Thursday, and then Mississippi State on the road as well in that battle on Sunday. So a big week for them as well. But I mean, it's not the only thing that's big going on in the sporting world this year, or this week.
A whole lot of stuff going on big this week. Let's talk about the NFL. By tonight, only 8 NFL teams will remain. You can catch the final wild card game on ABC 24 at 7 as the 5th-seeded Vikings face the 4th-seeded LA Rams. That game relocated to Arizona due to the wildfires in Los Angeles. Vikings 2.5-point favorites, with the winner set to face the Philadelphia Eagles Sunday at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, then in the NFC, top-seeded Detroit Lions battle Jaden Daniels, former ASU player, and the Washington Commanders Saturday at 7 p.m. In the AFC, the Chiefs kick off their three-peat quest against the Texans Saturday at 3:30 p.m. on ABC 24 as well.
Yeah, so don't miss the showdown of the weekend. Josh Allen's Bills versus Lamar Jackson's Ravens Sunday at 5:30 p.m. MVP candidates collide, but only one can advance. Rachel, who do you like?
Okay.
Who do you like? You're going to pick? How do you want to do this?
I'm going to pick my Super Bowl game.
Okay, cool.
Is that good with you?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
What I want to see, it's not necessarily what I think I will see.
What does your heart say?
What I want to see is a Bills-Lions game.
Really?
I think it'd be incredible. Bills have never won a Super Bowl. Pretty sure the Lions never have either. Correct me if my history is not
Don't believe so.
accurate. That would be incredible. Oh, I just got told by our producer they have won a Super Bowl. So there you go. But the Bills haven't. They have not. Okay, I keep getting told both things.
The ghost voices in your ear saying a lot.
Trying to trip me up. But
Shout out our boy Rich,
both
producing the show.
teams have not ever won a Super Bowl. I think that would be incredible for their fan bases. What a fun time they've been going into the game knowing that one team is going to win their first ever Super Bowl. I think would be incredible. There's just storylines that I love about both those teams. Do I think it's going to happen? It's just so hard to go past the Chiefs, and I want to go past the Chiefs, but I'm sitting here going, it's the Chiefs again, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, everyone else they got on the team. Andy Reid, a phenomenal head coach. You do it twice. You know what that recipe is. Let's just go cook it up again and get it a third time. They're so hard to go by, but I do not want them to win a 3 times. Even though it would be incredible to see a team do it 3 in a row, I want to see someone else win. I want to see another team get to that upper echelon of it all.
It's so funny. I think as fans, we hate success. We hate success. When anybody wins more than like once or twice, we're like, I just can't stand that team. How dare they? How dare they be so good? I feel the same way. I feel the same way. I don't want to see the Chiefs win it again. I want to see somebody else at the top of the mountaintop. I want to see. Give me Lamar. I need Lamar in a Super Bowl. I think he is the only guy so far who has multiple MVPs and has not yet won a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So I think the narrative around him is kind of he's this great quarterback in the regular season, but he can't get it done in the postseason. Now's the time. So, yeah, I would like to give me the Ravens and the Lions, because I think the Lions have been an incredible story this year. However, Jaden Daniels, the performance against the Buccaneers, the first rookie in a long time, I think one of 4 rookies to win a road playoff game. He was incredible. He was very poised to take on the Buccaneers. You knock out Baker Mayfield. I'm an Atlanta Falcons fan, so for him to knock out our NFC South rival Buccaneers, thank you, Jaden Daniels, because I couldn't tolerate seeing the Buccaneers in the playoffs after they knocked us out. But Yeah, I thought what he did was incredible. If he can get them to a conference championship game when they have been just awful, awful for years, I think that would be an incredible story. So I will not be upset if Jaden Daniels wins him another playoff game. But yeah, give me that Bills-Ravens game is going to be incredible. Lamar outplayed Josh Allen in their first matchup of the year. I think that's what we call a clash of titans.
Yeah.
Notwithstanding the actual Tennessee Titans, who are also terrible, by the way, and
by
nowhere close to the playoffs. So yeah, it'll make for an interesting weekend. Playoffs are going to be fun. Let's jump in. That'll be the end of our show on this Monday edition of the 24th Floor. Check out all we do right here on ABC 24 Plus, as well as abc24.com and our YouTube page. You can follow myself, Rachel, and Caleb, who's not here today. We missed him on X for all the latest updates. We'll be back on Thursday to break down all things in the Mid-South sports world. But for now, we out.